Fashion is defined as a popular or current style of clothing, hair, decoration, or behavior. Styles may come and go, but ultimately, fashion is a way for people to express themselves to the world without saying a word, using their appearance as a canvas. Fashion can be used to reflect cultural or social elements. It can be used to express status or imitate it. If done correctly, it can even be used to make bold social or political statements. If done correctly. Nevertheless, fashion is a continuously evolving element of our culture that is constantly cycling through trends and fads, with a $1.7 trillion industry always innovating to drive the market further and further. Fashion has evolved significantly over the centuries, influenced by various factors including socioeconomic conditions, political climates, technological advancements, and cultural exchanges. Historical events such as wars, economic depressions, and cultural revolutions have had profound impacts on fashion trends. But how did we go from togas to tunics and, well, to this? We're about to find out. This is the evolution of fashion. Long ago, early prehistoric humans made clothes from the furs of the animals they'd hunt. It wasn't until tools and technology developed centuries later that the early progenitors of clothing began to emerge. Ancient civilizations were the first to have some semblance of clothing as part of culture. Ancient Egypt made simple, functional clothing from linen. Perhaps one of the first societies to use fashion as an indicator of status, the wealthy ancient Egyptians would wear jewelry and extravagant hairstyles. The ancient Greeks and Romans would commonly wear togas and chitons, using fine materials to distinguish their garments from others. Mesopotamians used wool and flax for their garments. The medieval ages, characterized by the feudal systems and government dominance by the church, featured practical, layered garments. In the Middle Ages, the tunic, a long, loose-fitting shirt, was most common, with the length and material being used to distinguish status. However, fashion became much more elaborate in the High and Late Middle Ages. Wealthy individuals wore luxurious fabrics such as silk and brocade. Interestingly enough, laws were introduced to govern what each class of citizen was allowed to wear, with luxury being legally restricted to the upper class. It is here that we also see clothing being used as a status symbol and becoming more expressive. The Renaissance period, dating from the 14th to 17th centuries, is characterized by a resurgence of interest in the classical knowledge and cultural achievements of ancient Greece and Rome. This era marked a profound transformation in art, science, literature, and philosophy, leading to significant advancements and cultural shifts. It is during this period that famous artists such as Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo, and Raphael lived, and technological advancements such as the printing press were made. With advances in every facet of life, so too came advancements in clothing and fashion. Renaissance clothing was elaborate and highly indicative of one's social status, with significant differences in style and material between the wealthy and lower classes. Both men and women's fashion were marked with a love of luxurious fabrics, rich colors, and intricate details. A doublet, a snug-fitting, quilted or padded jacket worn over a shirt, was commonly worn by men, with a jerkin, a sleeveless jacket made from leather or cloth layered over. Tight leggings made from wool or silk, known as hoses, would be layered underneath the breeches. Knee-length trousers worn over the hose, often puffed and padded out. Capes, worn for warmth or a display of wealth, could be short or long and fastened at the shoulder with a decorative clasp. Hats varied in style and included flat caps, berets, and wide-brimmed hats, often adorned with feathers. Shoes were typically pointed and made of leather, with higher-status individuals wearing decorative or heeled shoes. Women wore a chemise as a base layer, made of linen, followed by a bodice, the upper part of a dress. The bodice was often stiffened with boning to shape out the torso, with lacing on the front and back sides to allow for a snug fit. The gown was the primary garment, worn over the chemise and bodice, featuring a full skirt that reached the floor. Sleeves could be long, short, or even detachable, allowing for a mix-match approach to fashion. A kirtle, or a petticoat, was worn over the chemise and under the gown, visible at the neck and sleeves. The Baroque era emerged in Europe around 1600, lasting to about 1750. It is known for its dramatic, ornate, and highly detailed artistic style. The period was marked by the Counter-Reformation, where the Catholic Church sought to use art to convey religious themes and evoke emotional responses. The Rococo era was developed in the early 18th century as a reaction against the grandeur and strict regulations of Baroque art. Originating in France, Rococo is associated with the reign of Louis XV and is often considered the final phase of the Baroque period. The staples of Renaissance fashion, such as the doublet, breeches, and wigs, carried over to this time period as well, with a few new additions for men's fashions. The frock coat was a long, fitted coat that flared out slightly at the hips. They were richly decorated with embroidery and lace. Underneath the frock coat, the waistcoat was worn. The waistcoat was often equally ornate and made of luxurious fabrics. Shirts became ruffled and elaborate. The leggings received an update in the form of knee-length breeches, which, as the name implies, were fastened just below the knee, often fastened with a ribbon or buckle. For accessories, men wore the powdered wigs from the previous era, often styled with curls and queues. Three-cornered hats known as tricorn hats were popular. In the bling department, cravats and stocks were decorative neckwear, with cravats having a few more elaborate styles. For women, some considerable advancements were made in clothing and fashion. The robe à la Francaise was a gown with a fitted bodice, low neckline, and watteau pleats in the back. The skirt was wide and supported by panniers. The robe à l'anglaise was similar, but with a more fitted back. Sleeves ended at the elbow and were often decorated with lace ruffles. Pastel colors and light fabrics such as silk and satin became popular during this period, and gowns were often decorated with lace, bows, and floral patterns. Corsets continued to be worn as an undergarment, as well as panniers, which were skirts with wide hoops underneath, worn to form a wide silhouette. Fans also became a popular and essential accessory. The 18th century was a transformative era marked by the Enlightenment, which emphasized reason, individualism, and skepticism of traditional authority. Major political events included the American and French revolutions, which championed democracy and human rights. The Industrial Revolution began shifting economies from agrarian to industrial and spurring urbanization. Colonial expansion and the transatlantic slave trade had significant global impacts. Culturally, the period saw the transition from Baroque to Rococo art, the rise of classical music, and the development of the novel. This century's intellectual, social, and economic changes laid the groundwork for the modern world. Clothing also made significant advancements, and we begin to see the beginnings of modern-day fashion begin to emerge. The frock coat mentioned earlier, a waistcoat, and breeches made what we know today as the iconic three-piece suit. For women, the mantua was a gown with a fitted bodice and a skirt that opened in the front to reveal an underskirt. It featured a loose drape at the back and became a popular piece. The stomacher, a decorative panel that covered the front of the bodice, was often elaborately embroidered or adorned with lace and ribbons. In addition, capes, coifs, wigs, fans, and jewelry were still in fashion as well. The 19th century was a period of profound change and transition, characterized by revolutions, industrialization, urbanization, social reform, and cultural innovation. It witnessed the rise of nation-states, the spread of imperialism, and the emergence of new ideologies and social movements. The legacies of the 19th century continue to shape the modern world in numerous ways, from political structures and social norms to technological advancements and cultural trends. Men's fashion evolved from the fitted, high-collar tailcoats and breeches of the early century to more practical and tailored three-piece suits by the century's end. Women's fashion transitioned from the high-waisted, flowing dresses of the Regency era to the fuller skirts supported by crinolines in the Victoria era, and finally, to the pronounced bustles of the late 19th century. The 20th century was a transformative era defined by technological revolutions, 2 world wars, and the Cold War's geopolitical tensions. It witnessed the end of European colonialism, the rise of the civil rights movements, and significant scientific advancements. Globalization accelerated, urbanization surged, and the environmental concerns gained prominence. Cultural shifts reshaped art, literature, and music, reflecting changing social norms. Overall, the century was marked by profound changes, progress, and turmoil, leaving a lasting impact on the modern world. Fashion trends for men and women in the 20th century underwent significant transformations across the different decades. For men, the early 1900s reflected the Edwardian era's elegant style, with high-collared shirts and tailored suits, gradually transitioning into the flamboyant, roaring 20s with narrow suits and fedora hats. The Great Depression of the 1930s brought more utilitarian clothing, followed by military-inspired styles during World War II in the 1940s. The post-war period in the 1950s saw a return to clean-cut suits and casual wear, leading into the mod fashion of the 1960s with bold colors and geometric patterns. The disco era of the 1970s was marked by flashy, flamboyant styles, followed by the power dressing of the 1980s with oversized suits and bold accessories. The 1990s embraced minimalism and casual wear, with grunge fashion featuring prominently. For women, the 20th century began with the Edwardian era's hourglass silhouettes and large hats, evolving into the liberated flapper style of the 1920s with its short, loose-fitting dresses. The Great Depression brought about more practical designs in the 1930s, followed by the utility clothing during World War II. The post-war era in the 1950s saw the emergence of the New Look by Christian Dior, emphasizing femininity with full skirts and nipped-in waists. The 1960s brought mod fashion with bold patterns and miniskirts leading into the glamorous disco era of the 1970s. The 1980s embraced power dressing for women with tailored suits and bold colors, followed by the minimalist fashion of the 1990s featuring simple, understated design and grunge-inspired looks, similar to the men. And so, we reach modern fashion. Styles begin to evolve fast, innovation, expression, and creativity explodes in the art of fashion. You'll still see staples from the past eras remain and make comebacks. It is from modern fashion that we begin to see humanity push beyond the norms of conventional clothing and really begin to experiment with the medium of fashion. The 21st century gave us some of the most iconic styles of all time and some of the most infamous styles of all time. Fashion from the 1990s and early 2000s was marked by significant variety and experimentation, influenced by cultural shifts, music, technology, and media. In the early 1990s, the grunge style emerged, heavily influenced by bands like Nirvana and Pearl Jam. This look featured flannel shirts, ripped jeans, oversized sweaters, and Doc Marten boots, embodying a casual and unkempt aesthetic. Simultaneously, minimalism gained traction as a reaction against the excesses of the 1980s, characterized by monochromatic outfits, slip dresses, and simple tank tops, emphasizing clean lines and neutral colors. Hip-hop fashion also made a significant impact with its urban, bold aesthetic, including baggy jeans, oversized t-shirts, and sports jerseys, snapback hats, and Timberland boots. This birthed the iconic Jinko jeans and the Tims, the legendary Tims. Entering the early 2000s, Y2K fashion, influenced by the technological optimism and pop culture, introduced metallic fabrics, halter tops, low-rise jeans, and cargo pants, embodying a futuristic and eclectic style. Throughout both decades, certain elements remained constant. Denim was a staple, with jeans, jackets, and skirts being essential items. Logos and brands were prominently displayed, with Nike, Adidas, and Tommy Hilfiger being particularly popular. Accessories such as chunky jewelry, choker necklaces, and statement belts were in vogue. Hair and makeup trends also evolved, with the 90s featuring natural and grunge looks, while the early 2000s embraced bolder styles with colorful eyeshadows and lip gloss. These trends reflect the diverse and evolving nature of fashion during the 1990s and early 2000s, driven by cultural, musical, and media influences. Scene fashion is a style that evolved from the emo subculture, characterized by its bright colors and eclectic, playful aesthetic. Often associated with the scene kid subculture, it blends elements of emo, punk, and rave culture. Scene fashion is known for its brightly colored hair, often styled with choppy layers and dramatic, side-swept bangs. Hair extensions and animal print patterns were also common. Clothing typically includes neon colors, tight jeans, band t-shirts, and layered tank tops. Patterns like leopard print, polka dots, and checkerboard are popular. Accessories are large and colorful, featuring plastic jewelry, hair bows, bandanas, and oversized sunglasses, often adorned with cartoon characters or quirky designs. Makeup is characterized by heavy eye makeup, including thick eyeliner and vibrant eyeshadow, along with bright lipstick and nail polish. Footwear usually consists of Converse sneakers, Vans, and brightly colored high tops. Emo fashion, on the other hand, is closely associated with the emo music genre and is marked by its expressive and often melancholic aesthetic. Emerging from the hardcore punk scene, emo fashion is known for its emotional and introspective qualities. The typical emo hairstyle features dark, straight hair with long bangs that cover one eye, often dyed black or other dark shades, with occasional bright streaks like red or blue. Clothing includes skinny jeans, fitted band t-shirts, striped or checkered patterns, and hoodies, with black being a dominant color, often paired with muted or dark tones. Accessories such as studded belts, wristbands, fingerless gloves, and black nail polish are common. Makeup involves heavy black eyeliner and sometimes eyeshadow, but is generally more subdued compared to scene fashion. Footwear includes Converse, sneakers, Vans, and combat boots. The main differences between scene and emo fashion lie in their color palettes, hair, and overall aesthetic. Scene fashion is more colorful and eclectic, incorporating neon and bright colors, while emo fashion is darker and more monochromatic. Scene hair is typically more exaggerated with vibrant colors and elaborate styling, whereas emo hair is darker and more subdued. Overall, the scene fashion tends to be more playful and whimsical, reflecting a mix of influences, while emo fashion is more introspective, aligning with the themes of emotional depth and melancholy. Both styles are expressions of youth culture and have evolved over time, influenced by music, media, and the changing taste of their respective subcultures. Regardless of the differences in style, One Stop to Hot Topic would have everything you needed, no matter the vibe you were looking for. The streetwear era, or the swag era as I like to call it, is an interesting era, and aesthetic to say the least. This style is defined by snapback caps and high-top Supras, oversized hoodies and drop-crotch joggers, shoelace belts, oh dear, the shoelace belts, The streetwear craze of the early 2010s was carried in pop culture by stars like Lil Wayne and Miley Cyrus. There's even some more infamous photos of other celebrities during this time. Mankind truly created some of the fits of all time during this phase of evolution. Oh, what a time to be alive. What a time to have turned your swag on. There really is a lot to cover here. The fits were varied, typically featured bright colors. Vans and super footwear were prominent during this era. However, any high-top sneaker or skater-adjacent footwear brand was in style. The drop-crotch jogger rose to prominence, allowing men to flaunt their swag by LARPing as a toddler with a full diaper. The drop-crotch jogger answered the age-old question of, what if I could sag my pants while still keeping them at my waist? The bold branded t-shirts from brands like Obey and Diamond were popular. Mall stores like Zoomies and PacSun peddling coastal skatewear must have made a killing during this time. I'm convinced being a shareholder of Zoomies in the 2010s generated wealth similar to owning the spice fields of Arrakis. The amount of sold super high tops and Obey t-shirts alone must add up to a figure that would rival the GDP of a small first world country. I could go on for hours, but the pictures say more than I ever could. It makes me sad no clothing movement scene has been iconic as this one. As Ozymandias said, "Look upon my works, ye mighty, in despair." Techwear is a futuristic and functional style that combines advanced materials, innovative designs, and utilitarian aesthetics to create clothing that is both stylish and highly practical. Drawing from inspiration like cyberpunk, military gear, and outdoor apparel, techwear emphasizes performance and adaptability, often featuring weather-resistant fabrics, multiple pockets, and modular components. Techwear is for the people who want to LARP as an edge runner in a cyberpunk universe, or for customers that have a high demand for clothing with an absurd amount of pockets. I mean, seriously, look at this. Just get a backpack. The core of techwear lies in its focus on utility and comfort, incorporating technical fabrics like Gore-Tex, nylon, and polyester that offer durability, breathability, and water resistance. This functionality is matched by a sleek, minimalist aesthetic, typically rendered in monochromatic palettes, primary blacks, grays, and dark greens. This design often includes asymmetrical cuts, ergonomic tailoring, and the strategic use of zippers, straps, and buckles, enhancing both the look and functionality of the garments. Accessories such as tactical belts, harnesses, and versatile bags are integral to the techwear style, designed to complement the overall fit while adding extra functionality. Footwear is another key element, with sturdy, weatherproof boots and sneakers being the norm, designed to withstand various urban environments. Techwear is not just about appearance, it's about enhancing the wearer's experience in their environment, whether urban commuting or outdoor exploration. Brands like Acronym, Gorilla Group, and Stone Island Shadow Project are leaders in this field, continually pushing the boundaries of fashion and technology. This blend of form and function make techwear a compelling choice for those seeking a cutting-edge, performance-driven wardrobe that is as stylish as it is practical. Ultimately, I think the monochromatic palettes of techwear and varying silhouettes make for a lot of versatility within the wardrobe. Something about an all-black fit just seems to work in my eyes. It's really easy to pull off. I really like the futuristic look of the style as well. I do see a lot of innovation and originality coming from this genre of fashion specifically. To conclude, techwear is cool. Workwear fashion is a style rooted in the practicality and durability of the traditional laborer, adapted for modern, everyday wear. Characterized by its sturdy materials and functional design, workwear fashion includes items such as denim jeans, overalls, chore jackets, and flannel shirts. These garments are often crafted from durable fabrics like heavy cotton, canvas, and denim, designed to withstand tough conditions. Aesthetically, workwear fashion embraces a rugged, utilitarian look, often featuring neutral and earthy color palettes such as navy, brown, olive, and khaki. The style prioritizes functionality, with details like reinforced stitching, multiple pockets, and robust hardware being common. This practical approach not only reflects the clothing's origins, but also adds to its appeal in contemporary fashion, where the blend of form and function is highly valued. Brands like Carhartt, Dickies, and Timberland are synonymous with workwear fashion, known for their high-quality, durable products. In recent years, workwear has crossed over into mainstream fashion, with high-end designers incorporating these elements into their collections, often adding a touch of sophistication or streetwear influence to their traditional designs. Workwear fashion resonates with those who appreciate authenticity and durability in their clothing, offering a timeless style that combines heritage with modern sensibilities. Its emphasis on practicality and ruggedness make it a versatile choice for various settings, from casual urban environments to outdoor activities. One thing I see when it comes to workwear is that it's often worn for the aesthetic rather than its practicality. Walk into a coffee shop in LA and you'll see Silicon Valley tech workers LARPing as lumberjacks and tradesmen, with the softest, most impeccable hands you've ever seen. It's whatever though, let people wear what they want. I just miss when I could walk into a Walmart and pick up a Carhartt jacket for $50 instead of seeing it pop up in a vintage thrift store for $200. Cottagecore is an aesthetic and lifestyle movement that idealizes a simpler rural life. It romanticizes traditional skills and crafts, self-sufficiency, and a harmonious relationship with nature. Cottagecore is inspired by pastoral settings and activities often depicted in literature, art, and social media. Cottagecore fashion is a style inspired by rural and pastoral aesthetics, emphasizing comfort, femininity, and vintage charm. It incorporates elements of traditional and folk clothing, often with a whimsical or romantic twist. Cottagecore and its associated fashion celebrate a return to simpler times, with a focus on nature, sustainability, and traditional crafts. This aesthetic movement offers an escape from modern life's complexities and a way to reconnect with a romanticized version of rural living. Fabrics used are found and sourced traditionally in nature, like cotton, linen, and wool. Colors are muted earth tones that blend with the natural surroundings. With the silhouettes we see flowing dresses and skirts, puffed sleeves, and smocking, along with the aprons and pinafores. Details on these garments might include embroidered or lace designs. Accessories for cottagecore can be wide-brimmed straw hats, headscarves, and bonnets, along with baskets and wicker bags, although I can't imagine carrying around a bag simply for the aesthetic. It just seems extra. If I'm ever carrying a wicker basket, then it would seem you've caught me on the way to a picnic, complete with a red and white plaid blanket and a colony of ants sneaking fruit out of the basket while I'm not looking. This whole aesthetic kind of reminds me of the community from Midsummer. They just seem to have a similar vibe, at least clothing-wise. When I think of cottagecore, I think of a log cabin on a farm somewhere in a flyover state. However, looking at these garments, I can't help but think of a bunch of Nordic folks in a village burning a man wrapped in a bear pelt for tradition's sake. In yet another form of a somewhat niche fashion aesthetic going mainstream, we have bikercore. Bikercore is an aesthetic and lifestyle movement that draws inspiration from motorcycle culture. It embodies the rugged, rebellious, and free-spirited ethos associated with bikers. This style emphasizes toughness, individuality, and a connection to the open road. Bikercore fashion is a style inspired by motorcycle culture, characterized by rugged, durable, and edgy clothing. It incorporates elements of classic biker gear with an emphasis on leather, metal accents, and utilitarian design. I mean, what really needs to be said about this one? Think of a biker. Yep, that's it. What you're picturing in your head right now is canon bikercore. Leather jackets, denim jeans, chain wallets, sunglasses, and bandanas. Tight and slim or loose silhouettes. I like the look. It looks tough, it looks hard, it looks mean. It could be hard to pull off, but it's a classic, time-tested look. Motorcycles, leather jackets, tattoos, and cigarettes. It's everything I thought was cool when I was 10 years old. And looking back now, yeah, still pretty cool. Prep fashion, also known as preppy fashion, is a style originating from the traditional attire of students at American preparatory schools and Ivy League universities. Prep fashion is characterized by clean, classic, and polished looks, emphasizing wardrobe staples that remain stylish over time, focusing on well-groomed appearances with an emphasis on fit and quality. This style often incorporates elements of nautical and collegiate wear, reflecting its roots in the American coastal elite institutions and leisure activities. The aesthetic favors muted and conservative color palettes, exuding understated elegance through subtle, timeless designs. Staples of the prep wardrobe include tailored blazers, chinos, and khakis, layered with sweaters and polo or button-down shirts. Ties and bow ties, belts and suspenders, simple but elegant jewelry and watches, boat shoes and loafers for footwear, a classic, timeless haircut. Prep fashion or prepcore has been around for a while. Most schools that enforce a dress code would typically choose a watered-down form of prepcore. I will say that although prepcore started in Ivy League towers, it has spread far and wide, and that clean, sophisticated look and aesthetic of prep fashion had inspired countless fits across the globe. Call me old, but something about khaki shorts and a short sleeve button down with some boat shoes just worked for me. Had to do it to them, you know. Nonetheless, it's timeless, it looks good, and the fits are versatile. Wear it to work, a lunch, a meeting. You won't look overdressed or underdressed in a professional or casual environment, you know, unless you overdo it with like a hand watch and a monocle. Vintage fashion refers to clothing, accessories, and styles that are at least 20 years old, valued for their historical significance, craftsmanship, and unique aesthetic. Key characteristics of vintage fashion include authenticity, quality materials, and unique styles. Common vintage pieces ranging from the 1920s flapper dresses and 1950s swing dresses to the 1970s bell-bottoms and 1980s power suits, along with accessories like brooches, gloves, and hats that reflect past fashion trends. The appeal of vintage fashion has grown as people seek unique, sustainable alternatives to modern, mass-produced clothing, offering a one-of-a-kind look and a connection to fashion history. Vintage fashion attracts collectors, fashion enthusiasts, and those looking for sustainable options, with vintage boutiques, thrift stores, and online platforms like Etsy and eBay making it more accessible. Retro fashion, on the other hand, refers to newly made clothing and styles inspired by or imitating trends from previous decades. Retro fashion focuses on nostalgia, modern production techniques, playful and bold designs, accessibility, and blending styles from multiple eras. Common retro pieces include polka dot dresses reminiscent of the 1950s and early 1960s, high-waisted jeans from the 1970s and 1980s, graphic tees with 1980s and 1990s logos, vintage-inspired swimwear, and retro sneakers. Retro fashion has evolved as designers and brands continually draw inspiration from past trends, blending them with contemporary styles. This cyclical nature of fashion ensures that retro influences remain a staple in the industry. Retro fashion appeals to those who enjoy past aesthetics but prefer modern manufacturing's convenience and quality, with notable brands like Levi's, Reebok, Adidas, and Unique Vantage specializing in retro-style clothing and accessories. Both vintage and retro fashions celebrate and incorporate styles from the past uniquely. Vintage fashion provides authentic pieces from previous decades, prized for their uniqueness and historical significance. In contrast, retro fashion offers new items that capture the essence of bygone eras with modern production benefits. So, vintage is legitimately old pieces of clothing, and retro is more of an inspired take with new pieces. My issue with the vintage scene is that it has caused thrifting to become more trendy in recent years. Because of this, with increased demand, thrift stores are able to increase prices. It used to be that you could walk into your local thrift store, and if you looked around hard enough, you could find something cool for like $1 or $2. These days, thrift stores will resell items of clothing at what seems to be like at or above what it was worth when it was released. This trend of retro fashion has single-handedly ruined thrift stores and vintage shops for me. Athleisure fashion is a hybrid style that merges athletic wear with casual attire, gaining popularity for its combination of comfort, functionality, and style. This trend emphasizes comfortable, often stretchy materials like spandex, lycra, and cotton blends, and incorporates features like moisture wicking, breathability, and flexibility, suitable for both physical activities and everyday wear. Common athleisure pieces include leggings, yoga pants, sports bras, joggers, sweatpants, sneakers, sweatshirts, tank tops, t-shirts, and athletic jackets. These items are designed to transition seamlessly from the gym to casual settings, making them versatile and fashionable. The evolution of athleisure began with an early adoption by brands such as Nike, Adidas, and Lululemon, which initially focused on sports and activewear. It gradually gained mainstream acceptance with high fashion brands and designers blending luxury with everyday wear. The cultural influence of celebrities and the rise of fitness culture on social media propelled its popularity. Continuous innovation in materials and designs has enhanced both performance and aesthetics, contributing to its sustained growth. Athleisure appeals to a wide demographic, particularly millennials and Gen Z, reflecting the growing trend of health and wellness and a preference for multifunctional clothing. The market has seen an increased demand for sustainable and ethically produced athleisure wear, with digital influence through online, retail, and social media driving consumer engagement and sales. As consumers continue to prioritize comfort and versatility, athleisure is likely to maintain its position as a dominant fashion trend. Athleisure fashion doesn't really seem like a core or an aesthetic to me. Gym clothes in public, although frowned upon by some fashion snobs, has always been like a comfy, casual type of fit to me. It's been around for decades and will be around for many more simply because gym clothes are comfortable and not everyone is trying to leave the house looking like a runway model. Chic fashion refers to an elegant, stylish, and sophisticated style that emphasizes simplicity and classic lines. The term chic is often associated with fashion that is timeless, polished, and effortlessly stylish. Key characteristics include elegance, timelessness, minimalism, sophistication, and a preference for neutral colors such as black, white, beige, and gray. Common chic pieces are well-tailored blazers, the little black dress, sleek tailored pants, silk blouses, classic high-heeled pumps, and structured handbags. Chic fashion has evolved from classic Parisian styles influenced by icons like Coco Chanel and Audrey Hepburn, and it has incorporated modern trends while maintaining its core principles of elegance and sophistication. This style appeals to individuals who value a polished and professional appearance, particularly urban professionals and those in the fashion industry. Notable chic brands include Chanel, known for its timeless elegance, Dior, which combines sophistication with modern trends, Saint Laurent, offering chic and edgy clothing, and The Row, focusing on minimalism and high-quality fabrics. Chic, to me, seems like a feminine business casual with a bit of character, at least some parts of it. It's a modern, sophisticated style that can be worn casually and semi-formally. It's rooted in legacy high-fashion brands and superstars of old, however, it has still evolved enough to stay relevant and tasteful. Boho chic fashion blends bohemian and hippie influences with modern and fashionable elements characterized by free-spirited, eclectic, and often earthy aesthetics. It combines various patterns, textures, and styles, and frequently uses natural colors like browns, greens, and beiges. Flowy silhouettes, ethnic and vintage influences, and accessories like layered jewelry, scarves, and hats are also defining features. Common boho chic pieces include maxi dresses with ethnic or floral prints, peasant blouses with embroidery and lace details, retro-inspired flared jeans, fringe on jackets and bags, wide-brimmed hats, and vintage-style ankle boots. Boho chic fashion emerged in the late 1960s and early 1970s, influenced by the hippie movement, and was revived in the early 2000s, evolving to include modern elements while retaining its bohemian roots. This fashion appeals to individuals who value creativity, individuality, and a connection to nature, such as festival goers and artists. Notable boho chic brands include Free People, known for eclectic and free-spirited clothing, Anthropology, offering unique and artistic pieces, and the Gypsy Collective, focusing on bohemian prints and flowy silhouettes. Both chic and boho chic fashions offer distinct yet stylish options for different tastes and lifestyles, with chic fashion emphasizing elegance and sophistication, while boho chic celebrates a free-spirited and eclectic aesthetic. If Earthbound Trading Co. could be visualized as a fashion style, it would probably be boho chic. This style wears its influences on its sleeve loudly and proudly. It gives off a relaxed, easygoing vibe, yet can be worn formally quite well also. Looking back, it's amazing to see just how far humanity has taken clothing and fashion. How astonishing to think clothing used to be only the spoils of the hunt or luxury only afforded to the upper class. These days, fashion is readily available and attainable far and wide across many parts of the globe. Fashion appeals to us as people because it allows us to use our body as a canvas and, without saying a word, express ourselves to the world. The clothing you wear can give impressions of who you are and what you value to the world at large. There is almost an unlimited option for what you wear and how you wear it. You can do a lot with what you wear, and the feeling of putting together a nice fit, seeing it in the mirror and thinking, yeah, that works, is amazing. While it's hard to believe we went from togas to drop-crotch joggers and mankinis, it's good to look back and see just how far humanity has come in search of drip. Thanks for watching. This is my first video. I'm not necessarily a big fashion guy. I mainly use this topic to familiarize myself with the video editing and uploading process. I plan on making videos on a variety of topics, from gaming lore to biographies on living memes. If any of that sounds like it could interest you, subscribe. Again, thanks for watching. Have a good one.